All present and accounted for?
I'm going to bring mine Monday.
Good.
Oh, that's right. I'm always in.
Okay, we could come to order. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by sending notices out on December 21st, 2013 to the Record and the Ridgewood News, positioning notice on the bulletin board in the lobby of the Borough Hall, and providing notice to the municipal clerk. I'd like to remind everyone that we have 3 exits in council chambers, 2 to the front and 1 to the rear. We're on the record. Everything that is being said is being recorded, both by video and audio. We have members of the public today. If a member of the public wants to speak, all they have to do is give us their name, and then they can be heard, ask any question, make any statement. I'd like to welcome to the Citizen Budget Committee, Kathy Caslin. How are you? I'll turn the meeting over to Alan. We're still, I think we're discussing the capital budget.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. We have a capital list in front of us that has been reviewed at several meetings by the Finance Committee. Today, we have the Fire Department here to review their capital requests with us, followed by John Lynch and Rob Costa to talk about Department of Public Works capital, as well as any buildings and grounds or infrastructure items on the list. Any decisions that could be made at this point on some of the capital items would be beneficial. In addition, I would like to review the meeting schedule with those present before we dismiss today, so we can set up whatever meetings necessary to get us through the process. And I have information on our cap position, both the appropriation spending level and the levy cap. So with that, I'll probably start with the fire chief.
Okay.
To talk about the fire department request.
We have coffee and bagels. Feel free to get up and get some coffee or a bagel anytime you want. Okay, Chief.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. Everybody today. Great.
Oh, Mayor,
Yes.
I had suggested that we might want to introduce ourselves for those who are viewing the videotape, and it was generally thought it might be a good idea. But
We don't have our name plaques?
No,
No.
I'm sorry, we don't.
All right. So let's go around. Start with you, Tom.
Thomas Papaleo, Councilman.
Keita Birnbaum, Become Supervisor.
Albert Rollman, Citizen Budget Committee.
Mike Inch, citizen.
Kathy Caslin, Citizens Budget Committee.
Greg Caridi, Chief, Wood Ridge Fire Department.
Anthony Barbary, Citizens Budget Committee.
Kathleen Murphy, Council President.
Anthony Capola, Councilman.
Ellen Bastide, Councilperson.
Alan Negrian, Borough Administrator, Chief Financial Officer.
Sandy Mascarotola, Mayor.
Edward Mignon, Councilman. Vito Acquafredda, Councilman.
Okay. Chief.
Alan, you want to just, I have the capital, should we just go
Yeah,
down?
you'll see that list up the top of the table there, and we have the fire department items listed, starting with the 1500 GPM pumper through the new command vehicle.
Okay. As we've done in prior years, we've asked for replacement of our 1986 Seagrave pumper, which is engine number 3. We had a brief meeting, myself, DPW Superintendent Lynch, Councilman Stone, and Councilman Papaleo, and Assistant Chief Schultz, who's here with me. One of the things that both councilmen inquired as to the entire fleet, as to Progressive, how old it is, what are we looking to do for replacement down the road. So what I've done is I've put together a handout. Everybody just take one and pass it around. What I did was last night, in the past couple of days, I put together a apparatus inventory, giving basically a very brief description of our main apparatus and a photo of each one. believe there should be enough there.
Wow.
Yeah, we don't skim it enough.
Hold on, let me write that down. We don't skim.
Not a good thing to say when you're asking for more money.
This was on my personal printer, by the way, so no borough funds were used in creating this document. That's the number? That's the number. If you look on the third page, is the vehicle that we're looking to replace. Basically, just a brief description. Excuse me, I'm battling with cold here. It's an 86 pumper, Seagrave, 1250 gallon per minute pump. Has a 500-gallon water tank. One of the things we did a couple of weeks ago at the firehouse was we did a walk around with both councilmen and just explained basically the difference between a pumper and a ladder truck. A pumper basically carries all of our attack hose. You'll see the first designation for hose there has 700 feet of 5-inch supply hose. Our other two pumpers carry 1,000 feet. Typical hydrant spacing in roof reg is 700 feet to 800 feet. You might be thinking, well, why isn't it carrying 1,000 feet? We can't fit it. Only because this hose bed was designed for 1986 firefighting. Our firefighting tactics, strategies, homes have changed since then. So we're now carrying more supply line. 800 feet of main hose, that's used for our garden apartments. And then we're carrying 250 feet of 2.5-inch diameter fire attack hose. That's used for some of your bigger buildings. It's also basically we're starting to find that we're starting to need that for some of our bigger homes. Fire load has changed in the past 30 years. When we're sitting on our couches watching TV, we're sitting on Class A combustibles. We're not sitting on the old wool fiber down anymore. So our BTUs have gone up. That coupled with lightweight construction, rapid fire growth, so we're using larger diameter hand lines. And then we have 150 feet inch and three-quarter, and then two 200 feet of inch and three-quarter pre-connected tack hose. It carries 5 self-contained breathing apparatus. And we reconditioned it back in 2003. That was under, I believe, Chief Curran's term. Basically, what we did in 2003 is we changed the warning lights on it, fixed some rust problems, added some storage to it, replaced some switches that needed to be done, and obviously we put new tires on it and we repainted it. The reason it was done back in 2003 was to try and give us another 8 to 10 years to extend the life. That was what Chief Curran had proposed to the council back then. They agreed to it. So with the agreement that it would be another 8 to 10 years, and then we would have to replace it. So we're at that point now. I believe everybody I gave you when I handed my capital to Alan, NFPA Annex D guidelines for first line and reserve fire apparatus. The National Fire Protection Association is a nationally world-known fire protection standard. Their recommendations are just that, they are recommendations. However, this building, any buildings built are all built to NFPA codes. NFPA states that any fire apparatus 25 years or older should not be in even reserve status. Reserve meaning like a typical city of Hackensack or Englewood or Teaneck where they have an extra pumper just sitting there. We don't have that. So if you go by NFPA standards, this rig should have been replaced probably 3 years ago. That being said, with the safety features of the newer apparatus, she's getting old. I believe, John, we replaced the radiator once in this vehicle. The radiator for this truck last time, it took us several months to get. The radiator for this particular vehicle, the company that makes this truck, they don't even make that vehicle anymore. The radiator had to be custom built, which is expensive. They also have to take the truck apart to get the radiator out. When we did the recondition in 2003, there was no mechanical work done to it. So the motor, drivetrain, the axles, the pump are all from 1986. And I know from prior budgets, prior administrations in the fire department, we've gone from a request of $700,000 down to $500,000, and I believe the last 2 to 3 years, we've asked for $400,000. That $400,000 number is a solid number. It was a solid number for last year. It's still a solid number for this year. To replace basically what you see sitting in front of you in that picture. We're not looking to build a rocket ship. We're looking to replace this vehicle that is used to provide modern firefighting for not only our firefighters, but our residents as well. The $400,000 number, as I explained to Councilman Mignone and Councilman Papaleo, that's still a good number for this year. However, if we, again, kick the can down the road to 2015, even if we go to 2016, that number is going to go up. You're looking at typically in the fire apparatus industry, a 2 to 3% price increase per year. So while that $400,000 number is good right now, if the council decides in the budget committee that, well, let's put it off to next year, well, next year's capital is going to probably reflect a 2% increase on that number. We've been asked about trade-in. Well, what's it worth? Well, quite honestly, God bless you. Quite honestly, where it's worth would be to a collector. It's an antique fire truck. Your used fire truck brokers, they're looking for anything from 1995, 98, and newer. They don't even want to be bothered with something like this. So, as far as trade-in value, if we were to go on Gov Deals, try and advertise it on there, can we get something for it? Absolutely, we can get something for it. But if somebody's thinking, well, we can get 20 grand for it, $50,000 for it, that is not happening. Unless you get into a bidding war between two antique fire truck dealers that want it. So its trade-in value is basically nil. I'm guessing we could get probably 5 grand for it, maybe. Something like that, around there. But anything above that, I don't think that's going to happen.
Any questions? Kathleen?
So this is an 86, reconditioned in 2003.
Yes.
Looking at the rest of the inventory, you have there's a 95, there's an 89, and an 82.
Correct.
So what's the timeline that these are going to have to be? Do we have 5 years before the next one, or?
Well, if you go to the next to the last page, where you have, as Kathleen referenced to, the 1989 vehicle, that's Rescue 1, that also came up in our conversation with the two councilmen at the firehouse. You're probably looking at that vehicle is a 30-year vehicle. And again, some thoughts, I probably won't be chief when that is up for replacement, but if I have any say in it, if you look at the picture of that vehicle, the body of that truck where all the compartments are, that body is not in bad shape. It's a stainless steel body, it's got steel substructure, there is some rust in the fenders, nothing that can't be taken care of. If I were to propose, I would propose what we call in the industry rechassing this vehicle. In other words, send the truck out, take the body off of that truck, and put it on a brand new cab and chassis. It'll save the town several $100,000, and I just think that's the right thing to do. I don't think we're looking to replace the entire vehicle. And again, that would probably be, we could probably get another few years out of that truck.
So then engine 4 for 95, if you could just give us a timeline of when each is expected to be retired?
Mm-hmm. Well, typically you're looking, if you looked at engine 4, and again, you're looking at, I would say anywhere, Kathleen, in the 25 to 30 year range to replace that. So that would be, engine 4 would be 2020. So anywhere in that, 2018, 2020 range to replace that.
And then this 1982 special ops?
The 1982 special ops trucks, we purchased that from the Milford Fire Department, again, under Chief Curran's term. That vehicle, we basically run 2 men in it. That's our special operations unit. We did have a discussion with Councilman Mignone and Papaleo about that vehicle with Superintendent Lynch. That vehicle, right now, is not in our capital for this year, but the thought is to replace that vehicle with a trailer. In other words, remove one motorized vehicle from the fire department fleet, as we talked about. And then that vehicle, instead of it being just sent to the scrap heap,
Can be used for
could be
DPW.
used for the DPW. So basically, and that's some of the things like you'll see also with the command vehicle when we get to it. You know, we're not looking to just take that vehicle and scrap it. We're looking to replace actually an older vehicle and move this vehicle out. While we're on the subject of the Special Operations Unit, the thought process is that we get a trailer, outfit it with shelving, one less motorized vehicle in the fleet, and then the old command vehicle that we're looking to replace can then tow the trailer. So this is all kind of, it all encompasses, it's not just work where we're asking for something. You know, we have thought about this, myself, Assistant Chief Schultz, and DPW Superintendent, of a plan of how we can stagger down these vehicles and get more life out of them.
This one we're talking about, this can't be re-chassied because of the hoses?
Which,
Engine 3. The one that we're looking to replace.
to do that on a pumper, your savings are so minimal. To take the body has rust on it. Again, back in '03, we took care of some of the rust, but the big problem is the hose bed would have to be completely redesigned. And to do that on that vehicle would not be cost effective. To rebody a 1986 vehicle, especially a pumper where the hose bed doesn't meet our needs now, to spend the money on that would be not economically feasible to do it. Typically, when you re-chassis, you're re-chassing your rescue trucks, vehicles like that.
We also had talked in the past about that there were some grant opportunities for vehicles. Is that still something?
The grant opportunities are there, and I'm all for going for a grant. I know some municipalities, what they've done is they've gone and applied for a Fire Act grant or an AFG grant. They've gone and purchased the vehicle, and if they get the grant just replaces the money. The problem is, and I guess it's a good problem, is, and I'll use the city of Hackensack as an example. The city of Hackensack for the past 3 years has put in for an AFG grant for a new ladder truck. All 3 years they were turned down. So, and they've had congressmen look at the grant, they've had people from the Professional Firefighters Association look at the grant. Everybody said, yeah, it's good, run with it. They got turned down. So my point is, if the city of Hackensack can't get a grant for a fire truck, it's not happening here. I don't take that the wrong way. I mean, if we want to exhaust that and try...
Well, I just think that we should never say not to
No,
try.
I understand that, but I just, you know, I
Not to
just don't...
depend on it, but we should not try.
Oh, no, I'm not saying we shouldn't try, but I just don't think we should hang our hat on, yeah, we're going to get this grant.
Thank you.
Question there.
Ellen? I think Ellen had her hand
Oh,
up.
ladies first.
I was asking the same question.
Okay.
Oh.
Anthony?
So, how many engines do we have right now? 3, right?
We have 3, correct.
Has River Edge ever had more than 3 engines?
No.
No. And never less, just 3?
Correct. Correct.
Thank you.
Al?
Chief, just a clarification, re-chassis drivetrain?
Yeah, what it would be is if, like to take the case in point with the rescue truck.
Okay.
What we're basically doing is, when we say re-chassis, it will be a brand-new chassis, so it would be brand-new motor, it would be a whole new cab, chassis, frame rails, axles, everything.
Okay.
So in the case of the rescue truck, what we'd be doing is, if that's the way future administrations decide to go, when that truck came back, it would be the same body, but on a brand-new cab and chassis.
New engine, new drivetrain?
Everything would be, all your warranties would be new, you know, you'd have all new warranties.
All your auxiliary motors? and-
Everything would be brand new.
Okay. Just one other question. How, engine 3, what is it functional now?
It's functional. I know we've done some maintenance on it, and Superintendent Lynch could probably help me with that as far as what we've done for repairs on it. It is functional. It's not to the point where we've had to, you know, take it out of service because it wouldn't start. We have had some couple minor issues with it. It's more or less getting down to an age and a reliability factor as this vehicle gets older. But it is functional. I mean, we can go in it right now and go out on a call on it, yes.
Okay, and this is your third vehicle? Is this the third one out of the
No,
house?
this is the second vehicle out of this house.
Second vehicle.
So, well, and let me clarify, depending on the call, if we were here right now and we got a call for a car fire, this vehicle would roll first out of Station 1. If we got a call for an extrication, the way our fire department operates, the rescue truck would go first out of firehouse number 2. This engine goes first out of here. If we got a call for an activated fire alarm or structure fire, the ladder truck goes first, and then this goes.
Okay,
So
so this is
the
a
second
functional
LP.
vehicle in your fleet
Absolutely.
as part of any call,
Correct.
depending on the call?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
I
Kathleen?
just had two other things,
Mhm.
sorry, I'm finished. So fire trucks now could be bought under state contract, is that correct?
Yes, I can elaborate on that if you want.
And also, I understand that La France just went out of business?
Yeah, American La France. Let me back up to Kathleen, Councilwoman's first comment. The state of New Jersey has finally gotten in line with the rest of the country, and we can now buy fire apparatus off of New Jersey state contract, and we can also buy fire apparatus off of the HGAC program. It's the Houston Galveston Area Consolidated. Basically, it's a nationally known cooperative purchasing program. Brief explanation, and both of them can be looked up. You can go home later or even in your iPad and Google HGAC buy. Basically, the state program, the state program started as a result of Hurricane Sandy. A lot of shore towns lost fire apparatus. Obviously, they put in FEMA money to get replacement. FEMA came in and said, we'll give you the money, but we want to track where it's going and what you're buying. Well, the state had no way of doing that. So what the state did was, hindsight being 20/20, maybe they should have taken their time, but what they basically did was they adopted the federal GSA program. It's where federal institutions buy their equipment and their fire apparatus. They adopted that program as their state purchasing program. The state contract program is a very limited program. Items that cannot be included in the state contract are items such as performance bond, training, delivery of the apparatus. If the borough wants to pay for the apparatus here on delivery, that cannot be included. That has to be a separate out-of-PO item. There is savings for the state contract program as opposed to going to bid. The other program, the HGAC program, is basically a cooperative purchasing program out of the state of Texas. About 48 states participate in it right now, including New Jersey. And that basically would just require the mayor and council to pass a resolution joining HGAC. There's no yearly fee. And the nice thing about HGAC is it's open to every fire truck manufacturer. The state contract only has, I believe, about 5 or 6 manufacturers on it. One of them had been American La France, and we'll discuss that in a second. HGAC is open to anybody. Every fire truck manufacturer out there, and you might be thinking, well, how many can there be? There's probably about 20 to 30 out there. They are all on that program. The nice thing about HGAC is that not only can you buy fire apparatus off of that, but you can buy everything else you can think of for a municipality. School buses, dump trucks, garbage trucks, police cars, building supplies, everything. There is no yearly fee. It is sanctioned by the state. There's probably at least 80 to 100 municipalities from the state that belong there. And there is a savings with that. And Alan and I had discussed it. And should you guys grant the fire department permission to buy a new pumper, that would be my recommendation, that we either use state contract or HGAC and not go out to bid. Your typical savings, if we took a pumper and went out to bid or bought it off a state contract or HGAC, the bid price would be anywhere between 8 to 10 grand higher than off of a state contract or HGAC. It's just the way to go in the future. So, as far as American La France, they've been around since the late 1800s. They just announced this week that they're done. They're out of business. So, that'll be one less company on the state contract.
Thank you.
So is your $400,000 number based on the HGAC price? Is that what?
The $400,000 number is based on going out to bid. That would be a bid price.
Okay. So we could expect it a little lower than that.
Absolutely.
The last new piece of equipment bought then was in 2006. That'd be engine 2.
Correct.
Do you recall what we paid for engine 2 in 2006? Essentially, is engine 3 going to be duplicate?
Yeah, if you if you went to page 2 and looked at engine 2, I guess just, you know,
It's like that,
Roughly,
the
yeah, it was-
specifications are what's proposing for
pretty
the
much
new...
the same.
Hmm.
If you look at the picture of engine 2, which is on your second page, that has what we call a top-mount pump panel. So the pump operator gets out and stands up on a cross leg. I don't think Company 1 wants that, so they would have what's called the side-mount pump panel. Some dissimilar, but basically,
But it's
yes.
basically the same
It would.
technical spec.
Correct.
And then prior to that, then the previous new piece of equipment we would have purchased would have been the ladder in 2003.
Correct. And then engine 4 in 95.
We could find out how
I
much...
think it's $425,000. That's probably what the ordinance reflected.
Just
We
want to...
actually paid that. That's, at the time, that's what we put in the ordinance.
In terms of anticipated potential maintenance issues with engine 3, say over the next year, what, or maybe John could speak to that. You know, is there any system or systems that you think are potentially that need to be replaced? What kind of money would we have to be budgeting our operating budget to offset that cost, as alluded to, what the debt service would be if we bought a new truck?
Well, the assistant chief just let me know that, and I believe we mentioned during our meetings, all the plumbing on engine 3 is galvanized piping. All your plumbing on your new fire apparatus, no matter what manufacturer you buy from, is all stainless steel plumbing, typically with a 10-year warranty. Some of the plumbing is starting to rot out on engine 3, so we have to fix that. Those repairs could get expensive. Again, we cross our fingers every time with the radiator. We've replaced it once. I can't, it's the 1980s.
But like, John will have other equipment, he'll say, well, we know the floor panel's bad, we know this is bad, we know this is bad. There's nothing obviously that are
Other than the
slated to...
plumbing rotting out, I don't think there's anything, we have an air leak on there that we're still trying to wrestle with. Do you have anything, John?
No, just the radiator again.
And what was the cost to replace that, if it had to be?
40 and change.
In several months?
$40,000 for a radiator?
It's a custom-built radiator, and also you have to look at the amount of time that vehicle will be out of service.
That's just the radiator, that's not including the labor of taking the whole cab apart to replace, because they literally have to take the whole cab off, put it to the side, put the radiator in, and put the cab back on.
How much to replace left this radiator?
Was it 2003 when it was reconditioned?
No.
No, it was 2000.
Was it 05?
I don't know, we were in maintenance
It was so far.
Chief, if my recollection is correct, a couple of years ago, you had an engine, a pumper that you needed to replace a valve on. And because the engine was so old, or the equipment was so old, that valve had to be forged. Is this that vehicle?
I don't recall that. Most of the valves on here, they are from 1986. I don't know of anything special on here that we would have to get something like that done on this vehicle. You sure it was for a pump?
I don't remember the details, though, as to which engine, but I do remember when they, yeah.
I know there was something that had to be fabricated.
Yeah, it was, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but there was...
I don't recall that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Chief,
Yes.
as an aside regarding recouping any money that this may be worth, I'm sure it's been investigated, but are there any parts brokers that exist nationwide for an XYZ part for somewhere?
Right, in other words, they would just basically part strip it and...
Right. Or is that included in your $5,000?
Well,
I don't know.
yeah, I think that would be included in the $5,000. Again, if you look at, and that's a very good question, if you look at this era vehicle, there's not too many of them left in service. So the parts demand, unless you got a collector looking to restore something like this, there's not a very big parts demand for this type of C-grade pumper. My recommendation would be if we couldn't get enough money for it, I would basically strip everything useful off of it. Whatever works, the warning lights maybe, take the hose and everything off, and then scrap it. That would be my recommendation. Okay, thank you. Yes?
Do we ever Do we always buy new? Like, is there a market for used?
There is a market for used, but typically in the used truck market, you're, just like buying a used car, are we buying somebody else's headache? You'll see, used fire trucks, a 2011 fire truck for sale. Why? Why is it for sale? Is it a lemon, and they just want to get rid of it? So I would be very cautious. The other thing with buying a used fire truck is if we buy a new fire truck, your typical warranties on a new fire truck, your frame rails, where the chassis is, their lifetime warranty. Your motor and your drivetrain is typically 5 years, 100,000 miles. Your pump is 5 years. Your water tank is lifetime. Your electrical systems are 5 years. Your axles are 3 to 5. I could keep going and going. When you buy a used truck, 1 year warranty, basically you'll joke the taillight warranty, and then that's it. So I would not recommend, as a taxpayer, buying a used vehicle.
Can you get them to include a lifetime warranty on radiators?
Oh, you could. You'd probably pay through the nose for it.
What would the price differential be on a used piece of equipment, like 2,000 left? Are you looking at 10% less, 30% less, 50% less?
I would say 10% less, roughly, depending on what it was, and also to find a used truck out there. Obviously, if we were even going to discuss that, at what point do you say, okay, well, we're not buying that? We're not going to buy a 2000 to replace an 86 because we're only going to be back here again sooner. So I would say 10% less, roughly, Councilman.
Okay. Chief, can we go over the rest of your capital budget?
Sure. The next item on the list, I believe my list follows this, is turnout gear. That's our annual replacement program. We've scaled that back considerably. I believe we used to, the council was nice to give us 24,000. Excuse me, we've scaled that back to 18,000. And again, that's just to replace our annual gear as, again, recommended by NFPA as far as replacing your turnout gear. One thing I'll bring up regarding NFPA, and this standard just came out, and I had a discussion with the Union Township Fire Chief about it yesterday, is the NFPA just came out with a new standard for fire hose. And I'm just giving the council and the Budget Committee a heads up. And I haven't even spoken to my fire officer about this. The NFPA just came out with a new standard for fire hose that basically says any fire hose in service prior to, I believe it's 86 or 87, must be taken out of service. So what that will entail on our end, on my end, is in the next several months, we're going to have to poll all of our hose records to see what hose. I think we're in good shape, but I'm just giving you a heads up that there is a new standard out there now that they say, go ahead, Chief, go down.
No, I was just going to interject. You do test your hose, though,
Yes, we do.
annually or periodically. Maybe
Right.
you could explain that process, too,
Okay.
and how that might work with the NFPA standard.
As Alan just said, we do test our hose annually. Every year we have a private company come in, and that's reflected in my operating budget, that they test our hose. And it was probably through those records where they track the date of manufacture for our hose lines that we'll probably start there and look to see how old our hose is. One of the things the fire chief from Union and I had a conversation about is that standard, even if you have several hundred feet of 1985 hose that is still passing its yearly test, it cannot be in service. So just giving the council a heads up that you might see that, maybe not in next year's capital, but in future capital. The next item I believe on the list is, I'm sorry.
How many sets of turnout gear?
We typically try and buy at least 6 to 8 sets of gear per year. The next item on the list.
So that's basically like a 10-year program, and in 10 years you'll replace everybody's turnout
Correct.
gear? Okay.
That is correct. And the turnout gear includes, just so everybody knows, coat, bunker pants, helmet, boots if they need them, and gloves.
Okay.
The next item on the list for $2,000 The council was nice enough to give us, well, we needed the money last year out of our operating budget. We spent quite a bit of money on our fire sirens to get them up and working. One of the things that our vendor, Academy Electric out of Westwood, recommended is, and anybody drives by one of our active sirens, you'll see what I'm talking about. About two-thirds of the way up on the pole, you'll see an electrical junction box. Some of them have a throw switch on them, some don't. We had those covered with plywood boxes, keyword being had. We did those plywood boxes about, 10 years ago, roughly? Well, throughout the years, they've just obviously rotted away to the point now where all of our electrical components are out in the elements. The price you see there is a quote from Academy Electric, and they highly recommend, since the borough was nice enough to spend the money to fix our sirens and get them that they're working, to enclose those electrical components, just to prevent further damage from shorting out to either a siren motor. That's our biggest expense, is replacing the siren motors. So, and that estimate would be good for this year for $2,000. And they would come in, they would fabricate the boxes, and they would install them. So that's everything, $2,000. And I believe that is Bloomfield and Kindercamack, Kensington and Elm, Company 1, and Maine and Kindercamack. So that would be the 4 sirens.
Okay. Any questions about that item?
There's no money left in this year's operating budget to get that done?
We could, I just put it under capital because I was just under the impression, Councilman, that would be more than a 5-year. I mean, we got 10 years out of the plywood boxes, so.
Let me see if it's something...
Well, if you're referring to the 2013 budget, they would have had to have issued, an order, a contract, a purchase order back in, they would have had to have ordered it back in 2013. They can't order it now and charge it back to 2013. So if you're asking whether it could come out of the 2014 operating budget, that's doable as opposed to capital.
Okay.
The next one, again, is a continuation. It would probably be the last year for that for a while, 12 additional pages, and then I think once we get that, we should be in very good shape with our pager program. You were nice enough to give us money for last year, and this would just be a continuation of that. The next item, if you recall last year, I believe our capital request last year was $35,000 to replace our self-contained breathing apparatus cylinders, which have reached the end of their life cycle. The $23,000 that you see in there would be to finish that program. So once we complete that program this year, that line will go away for 2015 capital.
Just a question, Chief.
Yes.
The pagers are $500 each?
Yes.
Really?
No, 3.
No.
It says 3.
3.
No, it's 6,000 for 12.
6,000 for
sorry.
12.
What we typically do is when we get our pagers,
That's the down payment.
what we do is when we get our pagers, that pager comes with not just the pager there, but it'll come with a spare battery and the charging base as well. So that's a complete set.
All right.
These Scott packs too, once you get these, that's it, it's done, right?
Well, yes, this is just the bottle. It's not the whole pack, Kathleen. It's just the cylinder itself. But yes.
Last year we did half and...
Right. We were able to do a little bit more than half, and then this year it would just be finishing that up, and then we would be good to go for probably another 15, 18 years. Correct.
Okay.
The next to last item is the siren system. Again, our siren system is 50-plus years old. It's getting up there. We spent a lot of money. I could comfortably say right now they're in good working order. This is something maybe we can get creative in the next year or two, maybe through OEM and grants through OEM to, public alerting systems. That seems to be the rage lately with storms and everything, so that might be something that OEM can search out grants for and seek that way. And then the last item is the new command vehicle for state contract, and that item number there is $52,000. And that $52,000 would include outfitting it with a new command console in the back, new radios, warning lights and striping. And that vehicle will be off of state purchase. And again, to go back to where we had a brief conversation earlier that Kathleen brought up about our squad truck, that vehicle, again, and I'll ask the DPW superintendent to jump in here when he wants, that vehicle would be replacing, my vehicle would technically be replacing the green car you see sitting outside covered with snow.
Is that the 2001 Ford Expedition?
Yes. So my vehicle would come down and then replace that vehicle, and that vehicle would become the administrator vehicle. OEM could use
Details about
it.
that? Do you have like the mileage and everything else, or anything?
I can tell you the mileage.
56,000?
On the Expedition. I think it's 56,000 and change, Kathleen. I could go out and look.
Yeah.
It's roughly 56,000 on there.
So why would it have to be replaced?
Well, what we're looking to do is basically take that vehicle while it's got some good years left in it and actually drop it down into the fleet. So we take that vehicle, move it down to replace the administrative vehicle, and then either next year or the year after, when we replace the squad truck and get a trailer, the Expedition would be a dual-purpose vehicle. We can use it for administrative, OEM can use it, we can use that vehicle to tow the trailer when we have a special operations incident. So that's what we're actually looking to do. Yes?
Do all towns have special op vehicles?
No, I would say a handful do. Like our special operations team is first call for United Water in Hallworth. If they have a confined space incident, they are first call for that. So we're on their emergency plan. Yes?
I hate to
Go
interject,
ahead.
but I want you to make sure you cover this point with them, and that is that we have a sort of a shared service or a cooperative service with other towns. So other towns provide other services that we need, and this is a service that we provide not only for us, but for other towns. So
Like
Chief, if you
the-
can elaborate on that so they
I will, and I'm
understand
glad Alan brought that up.
the
I was-
interrelationship
Yeah.
with the other
And
towns.
The point being is, if you look at just our mutual aid group, our tri-borough, us, Oradell, and New Milford, when we had that water main break on Kindercamack Road, where all the fluid came out of the PSE&G, we called New Milford Hazmat. They are our hazardous materials team. That's their, as Alan said, their shared services, that's their specialty. If we had somebody in the river, we'd call Oradell Scuba Team. If Oradell or New Milford had a confined space or a high angle where they needed a rope situation or a rope rescue, they would call us. So it's basically, as the administrator said, it's kind of a shared service. We would get called into Hackensack, we might get called into Paramus.
And that's considered special ops for those other towns also? Or that's just something that they do within the
Well,
confines
it's
of...
kind of, I guess special ops, because it's outside the normal.
Yeah, no, because what I'm trying to just understand is that, so they have a dedicated truck, dedicated division, Oradell, New Milford, because it seems like that's what we have with
Right,
the truck.
right,
And
so ours-
Richfield has it too, but,
Right, ours would be the rope team.
right.
Oradell's is their scuba. Oradell, you might have seen it, they have an old bread truck that they converted into their scuba truck.
Okay.
New Milford has a hazmat vehicle with a trailer. So that's their tech. Our thing just is our rope team and our confined space team. This is their vehicle, that 82 GMC. And like I said, as we go down the road, what we're looking to do is to get that motorized vehicle out of our fleet, let the DPW use it to get some more useful out of it and get a trailer. And then we would use the 01 Expedition to tow that trailer.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
The Expedition,
Mhm.
would that be big enough to carry the crew that's needed for a special op?
What we would typically do is, right now, in the back of the Expedition, there's a giant wooden command module. We would pull that out and use that back storage, if you picture an Expedition, for equipment, and that car can seat 5. The way we operate right now, if we were to get called to United Water, say, for the special ops truck, that truck would go with 2 guys in it, but also what would go would be the ladder truck with other specialized equipment. So you would have the car going with 3 or 4 people in the car, plus you'd have another support vehicle going with it.
Okay, so you got the manpower there with two
Correct.
vehicles?
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Just one more, sorry, about this, replacing this vehicle. Why wouldn't the other two vehicles be able to pull the trailer? The 2005 and the 2006.
We've talked about that, because what you're basically doing is you're tying up a command vehicle with towing around the trailer. Whereas that, you're tying up a chief officer and a command vehicle towing around a special
But
operation.
if you were looking to replace that one, somebody's got to tow around, one of those vehicles would tow something, right? A trailer, you would say one of these would pull the trailer that you're looking to get?
Well, no, what we would do is, if we replace the 01 Expedition,
Uh-huh.
okay, and then when we get a trailer, the 01 Expedition will be pulling around, in other words, the trailer.
But wouldn't that be just another instant command vehicle too?
Mhm.
No?
No, because the 01 Expedition would then be down into the...
Oh, so you want four vehicles?
I want to, no, because that would be turned in back to the general borough. In other words, the borough, it would become, right now you have an administrative vehicle out there. Am I off track here?
Yeah, right now, we got the administrative vehicle, which...
You mean that all like,
That green
whatever,
thing.
the police thing or
Yeah.
whatever it is?
Has been planned capital replace for the past 3 years.
Okay,
We're
so
not
that would
looking
go
for-
to that?
We're not looking for 4 cars, believe me.
3.5.
3.
So you're saying get rid of that one and then put this in, replace it with that?
Correct.
So the borough would use the fire departments, and as needed, anyone would?
Right, and
Because
then
the
if
vehicle
you-
out there right now is pretty much shot.
Well, I mean, look at your OEM.
Alan
worked.
drives it,
I
I've
think
seen
we
him
took it-
driving it, he's
we
doing all right.
took it to the Brownstone. Didn't we? Didn't we take it to the Brownstone? It made it all the way there and back.
Well, so you drive it right
It's got
where
the
you
claim
have
to
your
fame
car?
that it didn't break down along the
Love
way.
to see you get broken down near the brownstone with that car.
Excuse me.
Fit right in.
Also, we're talking a lot about the expedition hauling the trailer. That would have to be able to haul our boats as well from Company 2. We had Hurricane Sandy, we had one of our chief vehicles hauling the boat. That took up an emergency vehicle from going to another scene. In this situation, we could hook up that vehicle to one of the boats, and that would be designated for water rescues down by the Steuben houses and so forth. That vehicle could also be used by OEM to check areas where the emergencies can drive over. It would be a safer vehicle for the OEM to drive.
Thank you.
Alan,
Code enforcement could also use it. If the code enforcer didn't want to use his own car, he could use that one.
Nobody wants to use that thing that's out
No,
there?
nobody wants to use that.
Alan, if I'm not mistaken, you had asked if we could make any decisions. So are you looking for, at least for the safe things, to be a motion to move forward?
Well, I would wait until after the presentations, and then even, after Public Works,
Okay.
and then you could have an overview of everything that's there, and then make some decisions. I
Better
guess.
to
Go
hear
through
from
the
all the
list.
departments first.
Okay. I was just curious.
But then, Mayor,
Yes.
the assumption is that all these 7 line items are important and needed, so they're all number ones, but could we prioritize these number ones and do 1A, 1B, 1C? I mean, because eventually, kind of it's going to come down to that. So if there is a choice to be made, and I would prefer that the chief sets his own priorities, and not us. In other words, he should tell us, of these 7 items listed, which one is the most important items to get right now, 2014. I mean, the assumption is all 7 are needed, but we know what the reality is, so I need help.
Well, I think we know that things that are an annual replacement, those are things that we're going to fund anyway. So that's why, so those are like the turnout gear, the cylinders, and the pagers are things statutorily we have to replace. So even though they're really
Aside
not...
from that then,
aside from that, well, that's what's going to be discretionary, so
Right.
I don't think we can make those decisions until we have the whole budget picture.
Right, of
Because
course, yeah.
ultimately, that's what it's going to come down to, is
Yep.
we're...
And that's essentially what I was going to do. I was going to move those things and the electrical siren cover because that's just practical, that's just reasonable. The other things, we have to look at the overall, but I think it's pretty safe to say we're going to do the turnout, the electrical covers, the pagers, and the cylinders, because those are needed and those are required.
Yeah, fine, so those are the least expensive items.
Yes.
Yes, but at
Yes.
least we
But
then
those are things
pull it
that we-
down.
So, okay, I'm attacking the most expensive
And
items.
maybe-
Now, you tell me which one is
Out
number
of,
one?
out of the 3 remaining items?
Yeah.
I'd say number 1 would be the pumper, number 2 would be the car.
And 3, the...
The sirens.
The sirens, okay.
Because like I said, I think the sirens, we can get creative through OEM, and,
And
I believe
I-
OEM, Alan, correct me if I'm wrong, are there more grant opportunities for OEM than there are, or no?
We've been applying for a few things, but we haven't seen anything come back.
Okay.
So there's a lot of competition for the OEM things now,
Okay.
especially after Sandy.
Okay, thank
That
you,
would be-
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I just have one other comment question for you. Have you considered
That you could,
using,
should be
working on the
separate
special
from-
vehicle transfer,
That's
the
what we-
trailer
what we listed.
scenario? Have you considered using one of your engines to pull that?
The problem,
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
the
Well,
problem...
there may be a manpower question.
Well, twofold is, I don't want to tie up a, Class A firefighting vehicle towing around that. And the other thing is, what we have found is, towing we'll use the boats as an example.
Mhm.
We used to tow one of our boats with the rescue truck. Well, you can't see the boat. So it becomes, and let's face it, some of our drivers, they're, not used to towing around stuff. So we've kind of gotten away from towing a boat with a big vehicle, because when you're driving the rescue truck and you got this little inflatable boat behind you, you can't see it. So, yeah, no, that wouldn't even be,
Alright,
we don't want to try and tie up a command vehicle, let alone a Class A pumper.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a 5-minute break for anyone who wants coffee, then we can hear from...
Thank you, everyone, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg, nice job.
Coffee.
Yeah, you done with those?
The C4 references the material that you gave out that are in their books, your red books, and it starts with that 4x4, 5-yard dump hook lift.
Since Rob's here, you want to start with the infrastructure?
I don't think it'll be, too involved on some of these. Some of these they've seen before, I guess.
All right, the 4x4 is a 5-yard dump hook lift, similar to what we purchased last year, with 11-foot snow plow and 14-foot stainless steel spreader. And this is also will be equipped with the liquid pre-wet calcium sprayer. This will replace a 16-year-old 5-yard dump truck. I have some pictures here. They'll speak for themselves. Some of them are the inside firewall of the cab. The other pictures are the steel overhang of the cab, which is to protect the driver for any falling logs, if you're loading the truck up with logs or anything of that nature. The cab overhang protects the driver, God forbid something falls on the cab. We had to take that overhang off because it was basically falling off. It was just holding on by a few threads. So this truck is virtually out of service. This truck also, the plow is maneuverable left and right. Instead of just a stationary plow, it gives you more options as far as plowing corners and so forth. But the main addition is the pre-wet system. As you see, the last snowstorm, when our streets are black. It's because of the pre-wet and liquid calcium. Standard salt is only good to 22 degrees. We were below 22 degrees, so with the liquid calcium, it's good to about 3 degrees.
John, is this estimated cost $205,000? Is that a quote? Is that a state contract? Is that a, do you know?
This is an estimate provided, and it will be good up to when we have to go out to bid. The old vehicle will go on gov deals. We've had good luck with that deal so far, since Denise has been using it. She's done a fabulous job. And I don't know exactly what this truck is worth, but it certainly would be more than if we just auctioned it like we did in the past, just through the newspaper.
Alan, do you know if this kind of stuff is available under the state contract?
I'm not sure. Yeah, this is a state contract truck.
We have gone out to bid on these vehicles. Most important thing to think about is that all the vehicles are unilateral. They all have the same size tires.
Right.
They all have the same starters. You know, we've had, not this storm, the last storm, we need a windshield motor, wiper motor. We took it out of the tree truck and threw it in the plow truck.
On this list, there's nothing down, like we were trying to do with these ones, as far as, like, most important. That truck is in really bad condition. Would that be a 1?
The Finance Committee had put a couple of ones next to some things that repeat from one year to the next, and, you know, were part of programs. Some of your items were not part of programs at this point, so they're new.
There's
Not to say
seven
they don't have a high priority, but...
So every year I provide a 5-year capital replacement plan. My predecessor for 19 years, and I've done it for the past 7 years, is do a replacement program. That way you can look 5 years, and you can even look 10 years out to see whereabouts. You know, sometimes there is a change if something, you know, really bad happens to one vehicle or not. It pretty much stays on course.
So for the items that you're asking here, like tabletop tire changer, the master mower, all this stuff, which would be the #1 priority, or whatever?
Well, I'll answer the question. I don't like those questions, because if it wasn't a priority, I wouldn't have asked for it. No tabletop changer, tire changer, I don't change tires, and I send them all out, and we'll pay triple the price. No mower, I'll just cut less lawns, and so on and so on. So, you know, I don't ask for anything that I don't need. I'm not up here to play games. And, you know, I think we provide a good service, and the service starts right here. I can't do anything unless I get material, I get equipment, and I get a budget, and I get manpower. So, you know, the buck stops here.
Basically, the things on
Are all important.
are replacements for, well, you know, we've seen pictures of the dump.
I was just looking through the book, that fence is really just gone too.
And
totally rotted.
According to the list here, the tabletop changer that they have is not even it's not in service. Is it? When was it in service?
I believe it went down in November.
Okay. And is it can't be repaired?
It's 15 years old. The problem with it too is that this current tire changer doesn't do the small tires for lawnmowers and so forth, so that has to be sent out. And the bigger tires that are coming in for police vehicles, it's not doing those tires either.
Okay.
The new one would do all of them?
Yes.
Did you get a lot of service out of the existing tire changer that you had for 15 years? Did you use that, you use that a lot?
Yes.
All right. Tell us about the mower. So we have a 2006 mower now. It doesn't sound like it's all that old.
We have 3 ride-on mowers. We cut 33 acres a week. What we've been having, though, is we've been having a lot of breakdowns just due to use. Can this mower make another year by putting a lot of parts into it like we've been? I could dump more parts into it. Is it cost effective to dump more parts into it? I mean, I don't think so.
Okay.
You guys are going by this list then, right?
We're going by the one that's in our book.
Okay.
It says updated 11/26/13.
Okay. All right, so the fence is at 140 Kinderkamak. You have pictures of that?
That,
This fence was put in because the 2 neighbors that are adjacent to the park, they're extremely unhappy with the fence falling down, and they're extremely unhappy with my answer is that it's not being fixed unless I have money in capital to fix it. I don't have money in my operating budget to replace this fence. If you choose to leave it up, I could put steel posts on each side of the fence to hold it upright. We've done that in the past. But just to let you know, these 2 neighbors are very vocal with myself.
Do we need a fence there?
It's up to the board. I mean, we don't supply a fence in any other park. The fence in Memorial Park are all homeowner fences. The fence in Brookside are all homeowner fences.
Why did we do this? Do you know the history?
We built this area, and I believe it was mid-1990s.
90,
91.
90, yeah.
And if you remember, that used to be all just bamboos down there, and we clear-cutted it. And part of the arrangement, from what I understand, was to provide an outside border or a screen around the perimeter.
Was a commercial property at one time. It was condemned by the borough to make it a passive park. It's been dedicated and maintained by the Beautification Commission and DPW. Yes, and I think during the discussions, we agreed to have some sort of a buffer.
Now, having said that, there's white pines around it, which provide a buffer and screening. The homeowners were concerned about vagrants getting in through there and walking into their yard. And, my reaction was, well, we don't provide fences to homeowners. If somebody was concerned about that, most likely they should put up their own fence. But I put it on the books to decide whether we are or not.
Seems like the vinyl, there's not much difference in price between the vinyl fence and the cedar fence.
Yeah, it's $2,000. The cedar is very expensive. And myself, we put up numerous other fences in the past 7 years, and if you don't maintain them like anything else, they don't last.
Is this fence is 6 feet high?
Yeah.
It's only wood.
zone, would that be eligible under open space?
Yes, I believe it might. And I could double check, make sure it's dedicated that park, that area as a park. And as long as it was, then yes.
I have now a satellite image. So you're saying which part of the fence? The entire fence, or just the part that moves, that is off of Kinderkamak, or the part that's off Main?
Yeah, the north side,
The north side?
off of Kinderkamak, and it would be the east side.
Both of them? Replace the whole fence?
Yes.
But we don't provide that anywhere else for any other park?
No. Those are all homeowner fences in any other park.
It's kind of a tight budget to start putting money into a fence simply because people are going to come and complain when we don't provide that service to any other park or any other residence.
The other alternative is just to take the fence down if it's in disrepair.
Squeaky wheel gets oil.
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thing.
No, I know, but apparently it's already been set a precedent that we put it up.
I don't know if that
Alright.
creates a past practice that we're obligated to in the future.
We're not, probably. It's just that we have it there, and now what?
Well, we
Take it
remove
down.
it.
And they
Yeah, I
want
agree
it
with
to be
Councilman
replaced,
Papaleo.
not just removed. They want it removed and replaced.
Yeah, the few sections that have disintegrated and collapsed, I obviously removed those pieces. But I've told the homeowners I'm not going to replace it because I don't have the money on their operating budget. I bring it to your attention. I mean, obviously, it's a decision to be made by you, you know. It doesn't affect my operation day to day either way, so I'm not going to get, too excited about it.
I'm having a hard time picturing where this is.
Pressure.
Give me a little...
I mean, if we take it down, they have to just put up their own fences.
So there's Kinderkamak, there's Main
Just down at
Street.
the end of
This is the fence.
Okay.
It's not really providing much of security, John, is
It's
it?
right across from Total Wine.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, I don't know, I haven't seen many vagrants crossing the town.
If you're asking my opinion, that's different.
Is it broken in like where it's not safe right now, where we should be taking parts of it down?
Yes, it's falling down.
So
The
we should
whole
be
thing
taking
is
it out.
completely, in the book there, you can see it's just all rotten.
I mean, if
I think
you
from a
say-
safety standpoint, we probably should take it down. If it's-
Yes, if you say, well, I was leaving it there to say, well, let's try to save it, put street sign posts in front and zigzag them across to hold it up. We've done that, like I said, in the past.
How much would I heard Rob suggest a shorter chain link, how much would that cost you?
Maybe black chain link?
Yeah.
4 foot? I would have to get an estimate.
I don't think that's what they want.
What's that?
I think that's what they want.
Yeah,
So,
the black one's
it's not-
black chain if it's got...
And I don't want to have to get
a lot of
into
lines.
negotiation with them as to what kind of fence is going.
Shouldn't every person that wants a fence get their own fence?
Yes.
And you said there's a border of white pines
Yes,
around it?
yes.
And were they were probably very small when we put up the original fence?
Exactly.
So now they
Exactly.
provide
Yeah, right.
the coverage.
I know.
Different situation today than it was 20 years ago.
You know, they said they're complainers.
Yeah.
They're complaining enough.
All right. Maybe the real me is coming out, but forgive me for this, but the squeaky wheel, maybe instead of the oil getting WD-40, what about replacing it with just chicken wire and some posts? You're accommodating them up to a point and a compromise with a little C. I hope I'm not getting sarcastic, that's not my intent. But,
They'll get
if-
work.
No, but
You're doing a good job.
it just annoys me that's the only one, and they're complaining about it, well...
I mean, given the people complaining about everything,
Yeah,
we're going to be putting fences up for everybody.
I don't even know if you need to do that, the fox fence or the chain link might be, but...
But even I don't
if
think,
you
I
look
wouldn't
at
even
that-
offer that. I think if we don't replace it, it comes
Yeah,
down, and
that's
that's it. We don't need to get negotiations
If I didn't
over.
bring you up to speed on this, I wouldn't be doing my job justice.
Yeah.
No, you're doing the right thing, John.
Number 3 is the borough sidewalks. I provided a list with the sidewalks also. This list has not yet been upgraded yet. We have some more sidewalks to add on this, thanks to Rob and his Timothy Road streetscape. You're welcome. It's the never-ending widening road.
That looks like a low number.
Yeah, it's over 2 miles. We have just over 2 miles of sidewalks. For the past 4 years, I've been doing a replacement program, little by little, through operating budget, due to the fact that our operating budget has been, very scaled back. Asking through capital, I can't afford to pay to replace or repair sidewalks on the operating budget any longer.
John, so this master list, this is all the borough-owned sidewalks, the 2 miles. And then the asterisks are the ones you'd fix with this current year?
No,
The 6,000, like, the money the $6,000 is not going to go very far. So what?
Now, the asterisk, I don't know what that's for. Right next to it are dates. You see down below, it says 4/11, repaired the old ditch, 4/12. I repaired the library, Clarendon Court, and that sort of thing. So, do you have that list?
Yes, that's what I'm looking at, but I'm asking what the 6,000, what you intended to fix with the, or is this just going to be a set-aside fund as things are developed, you have to fix it?
I believe I asked for 4,000, that's what I have on it.
John, I added
six.
$2,000 to make sure we're in a position to address a few ramps or sidewalk areas that are in question, have been questioned by an outside law firm. So I can't go further than that, but I added the $2,000 to see if if we're in a position that we have to make a repair to a public sidewalk, that we have some money to do that.
So it's more as an ad-needed.
Well, the 4, I think, is pretty definite in terms of his list. The 2 is my guesstimate as to what we might need in a couple of situations if they materialize.
On the right side where the asterisks are, those are all the sidewalks that need to be repaired or raised.
I'm still unclear. Are you saying 4,000 covers this entire list?
No, I didn't say that.
No, it covers
That's what I'm saying. I'm confused.
the broken ones. That's what I was asking. Like you have on fire company number 1, 2 broken slabs.
Right.
That's what this budget is intended to cover.
Yes.
But then in the library, you say asterisk 2 broken slabs, 4 slabs to be raised. Does it cover that? The 4 slabs
Next
to
to
be
it is
raised.
a date.
That was done.
That was
But
done.
done. Okay. So then go down to Eastbrook Pump. It says 3 broken slabs, 4 slabs to be raised. Does it include both the broken slabs and the slabs to be raised?
Yes.
Okay, that's...
But this is, again, it's an ongoing...
Yes.
$4,000. I don't know what 4,000 is going to get this year as opposed to last year. So these are, on the right-hand side, are slabs that need repair or replacement. If you give me 2,000, I'll get done as much as I can with 2,000, 4,000, 6,000.
Mayor, I'm obligated at this point to point out to the mayor and council, the public, and the citizens that are here, that while the superintendent has provided us with a list of sidewalks that are in need, that the borough has limited resources, and this process that we go through is an allocation of the scarce resources that we have. So we don't have the ability to attend to every sidewalk and curb that's on that list, and that's why you have to make these decisions in some sort of a priority order. Thank you.
I have another question.
Al had his hand up.
I'm sorry.
John, are your people going to do this, and is it for materials, or is this going to be subcontracted?
No, it's subcontracted.
Okay, thank you.
John, looking at the list, for instance, look at the Wayne bus stop, the Voorhees bus stop, the Howland bus stop. Are they on because they are in need of being replaced but not yet broken? Why are they on the list?
No, those are just indicating the sidewalks and the length. There is no asterisk stating that there's repairs needed next to that.
These are
So these are all the borough sidewalks, you're saying?
All of them except
I get it.
the most recent add-ons, Knickknack and so forth.
Okay.
These are sidewalks that are not contiguous with private property.
Okay. And these would be sidewalks that you would shovel in a snowstorm too, then?
Is there a thing where, like we did with the storm sidewalks and we went with another town? Is there something where you go with somebody else and get a better price on it?
I guess it's an option to look into. I don't know of any other town that's looking to do this, but I could ask.
All right. If you had the 4,000, what would you prioritize on this list?
So certainly Borough Hall and Firehouse 1.
Okay.
And the Oak Avenue ditch, sidewalks. But that's gonna take a lot of money to get that done, because there's 36 slabs there.
All right. All right, thank you. That's the next item.
Stormwater bars, frames, grates, and heads.
Yes, 2006, the government mandated stormwater regulations for new curb intake, new heads that prevent any garbage, mostly recyclable material, from going in storm drains and then into the river. We've had a replacement program, and we started that in 2006. But there is some need for additional money to replace bars that have been removed, whether it's from the front-end loader or the plows or things of that nature.
These are the bars that are just welded across?
They're bolted in.
Bolted in?
Yep. In addition, the stormwater repair budget has been decreased significantly. These also would have been purchased through that in years past. Not having that money, I'm asking for it through capital. Obviously, it is a 5-year item.
Can I, just so I understand, so this handwritten list we have here is complete of all the bases that have no bars in town?
Old bars, or that it needs a new head.
Okay, so do you have a percentage of how many of these you think you can get done with the money you've asked for?
Well, 30 bars at $125 is $37.50. 17 heads at $180 is $3,060, which is why I asked for $7,000.
And that's the entire list?
That's the entire list? It is.
John, you're right that we had money in your sewer line to cover these repairs, and then, I don't know if you remember, I moved them, after talking to you, to a stormwater-related line, $6,200. And I don't know whether this is in addition to that, or whether this, we would have to choose between putting it in that stormwater line, which is outside of our spending cap, that's why we moved it from your sewer line, or whether you need that in addition to this $7,000, and you're looking at a combination of both.
No, I'm asking this, and you decide where you're putting it, where it's coming from.
All right, so looks like we
need about $7,000 right now. We can either put it in capital and reduce the budget, because these items will last normal wear and tear over 5 years. Right. Okay.
And this is statutory, so we really don't have much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something you have to do. It's a question of, do you do it out of capital or do you do it out of operating, right?
So you're saying, Alan, that we've allocated the $6,200 of this money, of money already that we could use for this project?
Yeah, 6,200 is in operating, 7,000 is here in capital, so you have a choice as to where you want to fund it from at this point.
Again, John, is this something you're going to do, or is he going to sub it out?
Yeah, we do.
And can you do this in a year?
Yeah.
Can you do this? Okay.
All right.
The next item is the head walls on Elman Greenway. You should have pictures. I'll pass around the colored one. This is to repair the damaged areas, the head walls, the roofs, the stucco, replace stucco, repair the top cap, and point up any areas where mortar is cracked and so forth in between the joints. We've done this on 3 other walls, head walls in Borough. As you see in the pictures, the front surface is
Peeling off.
It's, we've had to go there numerous times and chip it off because we've got numerous complaints about possibly hurting somebody. This is an item I could go and I could chip off the rest of it. This isn't for aesthetics. You'll see there's a couple big cracks in the block itself.
They look like they're a couple freeze-thaws from crumbling.
And again, this is an ongoing project. I look at everything as a replacement plan or repair plan. Next year, you'll have on the list Valley Road. There's 2 head walls there that need serious attention also.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
John, these walls are structurally sound?
Structurally, I don't know. There's like Councilman Ed said.
Did you see the pictures now?
that,
Yeah, I saw them in here.
Oh, these
really
are
big
much better.
Cracks in the joints, and what will happen is the moisture and the thawing and freezing.
I guess my concern here, my question here is if you do this, the council authorizes this $6,500 and you let this project out, is the contractor going to come back and say, wait a minute, we got to take the whole thing down, it's compromised, so it's going to wind up costing you more? That's my
Opening of
question.
Pandora's box, when you start
Yeah.
digging and cracking.
I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, I just concerned that there's more to it that we don't know about.
John has a quote here from a contractor, so obviously he's looked at them.
Okay.
So to give us the quote, I guess he must have put the labor material he thought would need to be
It could
fixed.
be unforeseen. Usually you build a contingency in just in case. But
These would just be block walls anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're not structural in the sense that they're retaining anything or meant to.
Yeah, but they're there to prevent somebody from falling into
Yes.
the ditch.
Yeah.
But if you start taking off the facade, we'll then find out, hey, wait a minute, we got another problem?
The pictures show that the parging applied to these walls is laminated due to water infiltration between the two, the block exterior and the parging, whether this was done with cement or stucco or, and I mean the real stucco, not the fake one that we use these days. So this is a landscaping wall. I mean, it's not a retaining wall, at least the portion that's here is to prevent, it's a safety wall. So when you say is it structurally sound, yeah, obviously it's structurally sound. It's not going anywhere, and I'm sure that people have done this, and there is no movement here except the damages from these pictures seems to have been caused by water infiltration. Where you see the joint damage, that's because this wall was not done with expansion joints every 20 or 30 feet. Maybe it was all done in one shot. So eventually something has to give. In fact, the damage is done according to the joints. It's not even up and down. That would, if the block itself was split, at least from what I can see from these pictures, then there could be a structural force to do that, to split a block in half anywhere, something going up and down. But the cracks are at the weak point. The weak point is where the joinery between the blocks was done.
So my point,
So the wall is old, so the wall needs to be cleaned up. I don't think, from what I can see here, I don't think there is a structural... How old is this wall? 40 years, 50 years?
At least.
Probably
Yes.
when they put the pipe.
Yeah, they
across
were
the
not
street.
constructed after,
I think it's more of aesthetics and clean up the barging and then decide maybe instead of barging it, we paint it with a more guard product that's good for exterior applications, if we want to do that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next item.
Mayor, I'd like to run through the infrastructure items. And John, some of these we covered with Rob at the last meeting, but...
I got a few more.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think that was the last under DPW.
Yeah, well, a few came into the office there that I wasn't aware of, which is from the library. You asked me to get quotes for this.
Yeah, and the exit doors, yeah, I have that on my list, too.
So I provided a cost estimate for the exit doors, $7,000.
Yeah,
Had that one?
they've marked that as a priority, so I think that's going to get done. It's just a question of whether, you're in agreement with that they should be replaced. They're deteriorated to that point.
And also the carpet areas that on your list too.
Yeah, we were going to come back to see that. Yeah, if you want to talk about the carpet now, then we can finish that up.
Carpet was one of our JIF inspections. I believe it was the last quarter inspection. The inspector did notice and write up a safety report on the carpet in the Borough Hall, the room we're sitting in. Other areas he did notice was in the mayor's office, Alan's office, and the area.
I have an office. You call it.
They put their wet umbrellas in there.
Oh, that's what it was always called. I don't know if it's your office or not.
The storage room?
And the area of the clerk's area. I did receive quotes for that and provided quotes. You want me to add anything else to that?
As far as the library doors, is this the only quote that we have, just this one?
I only got one quote for this just because it was given to me last minute here for the library.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't the purchasing process. This is only trying to develop a budget idea. Yeah. So we would get additional quotes.
When and if the money's supplied, I'll certainly get 3 quotes.
All right.
Can we run through these infrastructure to give John the opportunity to comment about some of these, Mayor? The first one was the Voorhees storm. Oh, I'm sorry.
One more.
Okay.
We've been talking a lot about the roads, and we've been talking about patching the roads, which I've seen a couple hundred motions. So I did talk to yourself and Ed about purchasing a hot box for the asphalt. We have talked about this in years past. It didn't go anywhere. Just bring it up again if you're interested. The cost of the asphalt is not extremely expensive, but when you get 2 tons and you waste 1 ton of it, it's a waste of material, but more importantly, it's a waste of manpower and resources. Because the material just gets cold and you can't use it. The purpose of the hot box is it goes in the hot box, it stays at working material. It stays hot all night. So if you don't use it, you don't finish the material that day, it stays all hot throughout the night, and you could use it again the next day.
Does your asphalt get delivered? Do you go pick it up when you start doing patching?
We pick it up.
You pick it up? Where?
In Hill.
Okay.
Can we interrupt for a second? Where are we on the capital list?
It's not
on there.
We were going to cover it when we got the road resurfacing, but John brought it up now, so it's a new item called a hot box for...
So is this like a stationary thing? Is it on wheels?
Yeah, you'll tow it, I have a picture of one. Again, it's just, this is just taken off the internet, because again, this was talked about at, probably in the last week or so. We've been talking about this. And I discussed it with Alan to say, well, maybe it's worth bringing up again.
Is this something we can share with another town?
Yeah, it looks...
No.
No.
Because everybody's going to want to use it at the same time.
Oradell has one, and the thing is, when they need to do patch, we obviously need to do patch also.
I mean, as soon as a hole happens, people aren't out there like right away,
But
like
crews
patching it.
but John will tell you when he staffs it, he probably has a crew out there every day when the weather is doing, and every town's the same way, so they're going to have their crews working on those 40-degree days we get in the winter to start doing their potholes.
Useful asphalt life in a year is like April to end of October. Then the plants shut down.
How long is the
Unless
hot
you want
box
to do cold
keep it
patches.
hot for, other than overnight? I mean, days, weeks?
Keep it hot for days. There's also reclaimers, which you could use material that you grind up from the road when you do the resurface, and you could store that in a pile, load that in a box, add oil to it, and it actually reclaims that old broken up material.
This is something that'll pay for itself over time. It's not...
There's something mechanical that grinds it up. And if you throw in big chunks of broken asphalt, it's going to...
Auger?
How's it going to reclaim a big chunk?
There's actually, if you go on the website from Falcon, they'll actually have a video on there. It's pretty cool to watch, They just dump the broken up asphalt in there, they add oil, and they just let it sit, heat up, 300 plus degrees, and then the next morning it's usable material. But again, that's one unit, and the other unit is purchasing the asphalt and using it that way. Obviously, a reclaimer is more money.
But in the long run, you'll save money by using the reclaimer, in your estimate.
Well, because your material will be old.
Right.
Which we have plenty of.
No shortage of that.
No.
How much is the hot box?
I have an estimate. Unfortunately, I had 2 distributors coming the day of the last snowstorm, so obviously those were canceled. I have one estimate of $30,000, and it says for a trade-in, but obviously I don't have a trade-in. But there's numerous options that I would look into for safety of the workers.
John, what's its capacity, a ton, 2 ton?
You can get up to 6 tons.
So there are different options for purchasing.
You can get a 6-ton box with dual wheels in the back. You get 4 tons, you get 2 tons.
But how many tons can your crews do a day?
I would purchase a 4-ton box.
And you have 2 crews, you said, typically do potholes?
Yeah, but this would be
You have more.
only one crew needed, because again, the time, it's an hour to get to the plant, how long the line is out the plant, then getting back here, get to work, and then you throw half of it out. So most of your day is just spent useless.
How long do you get on these things? Like 10 years? Like, what's the life expectancy for one of these things?
The county has one, and they've had it now for about 15 years.
Wow. I don't know if you know the answer to this, but the reclaimer versus the hot box, is there a difference in the quality of the fill to the pothole? So, you know, kind of like brand new asphalt, is that going to last longer than recycled asphalt? Because you're maybe losing something in the process of recycling it, or I don't know if you know that answer.
It would just be a guess. I would think that the new asphalt would be better.
Better.
There's more oil in it.
Right.
Than the reclaimed. But I wish I had those two demonstrations. I would know a lot more.
John, is there a manpower training issue with this hot box? I mean, do you have to...
Yeah, if it's decided to purchase it, when it goes out to bid, here it is, the video, if anyone wants to look at the video.
I'm going to go and watch it later.
I'm sorry. what was
The training, your crew training, is
If
there
we
anything...
decide to purchase it, yes, we always have the distributor come in to train.
I mean, but this isn't, you don't need a specialized mechanic to do this.
No.
Anybody can, once they're trained on it, anybody can do it. Is the asphalt that comes from this hot box, does that do a better job of filling in the holes and maintaining the ground structure than the way you were doing it before?
Well, it stays hot, it stays 300 plus degrees.
You know, so you can get more done, I understand that, but is it a better fill in the hole? Will the hole last longer because of it?
Oh, absolutely, than cold asphalt.
Right now, you're throwing out half of it because it's useless
It's
after
too
a
cold.
certain time, because you can't keep it
So
hot.
they're using colder asphalt.
But they still spray a binder
Yeah.
in the pond.
I like the use of
That's the easy part.
Yes.
When you're laying it down.
But when you have to repair it,
cut
cut it, you have to flow it dry.
Now you got both, so you get a better quality fill on this over a longer period of time.
You're filling a pothole, so it's not like you're milling a road and repaving a road and rolling it down. It's a pothole, so it's going to be it's a limited fix, it's a Band-Aid. You're putting it, no matter what, you're putting a Band-Aid. The county got into it, they're hiring an outside company now that comes in, you've probably seen it, it's like a gray gravel that
Yeah,
you put down now, and it comes out of a truck. It's like, almost like a liquid with a gray. By the time they're done, there's more gravel all over the road that's in the potholes. So, that, in my opinion, that hasn't worked.
I thought they had a big machine that they spent a ton of money on that went right over the pothole and filled it and then bent it down and then went to the next
This
one.
is the machine. Oh, that's a different. Infrared is, that, now you're getting to the bed, now you're in the right game.
Top of the
Because
line?
you put it in, you infrared it up, you do it, but again, that's limited on how much you can do per day. I mean, you're not going to do a large area, because you need to heat up the whole surface to 350 degrees.
Takes about an hour
That truck,
per area.
This is like when you make brownies. You got to put them in the oven, they got to cook. It's,
and that's better than having that truck that comes out with the arm, shoots the...
that, right now, go on, anybody would go on...
I've seen it in action.
Go on Route 80, go on the turnpike right now. If you're on a motorcycle, do not go out there.
Yeah.
There are holes on the seam lines right now. It's incredible. Someone is going to get...
Yeah. So the infrared's better than that truck that shoots the...
The infrared will make it, yeah.
Not that we're
I'm
getting
saying, let's stop talking about the infrared because the
That
borough has
happens.
access to it through the
Oh,
Riverside
it is.
Cooperative. But the infrared truck
It's for a
is
pack.
meant for special situations. We would use it if we had to do a pothole on Kinnicamack Road where we don't want to come back in 10 years every day and repair that pothole. We would use it where we had just done a new street and we've got a PSE&G patch that we're not happy with, we would come back because this gives you a seamless repair. But as John has pointed out, it can take you a half an hour, 45 minutes just to do one pothole, which is not effective for us. So we can do it, and we have access to equipment to do that, should we need it in a particular situation.
Right.
So we don't need to consider buying that or even thinking about that. We need to think about either hot box or reclaimer.
Yeah.
Or go to the next line item and start milling and paving the streets and try to get ahead of the curve, where he's not throwing down as much
That's what I'm
patch.
thinking, if we're going to fix the streets,
Fix the
maybe fix the streets.
But again, to fix all the streets...
It's not possible. $30,000 buys us a lot more repairs
No
than
question.
$30,000 of trying to
You're always
repave
going
a
to have
street.
both. But again, to get ahead of the curve, remember, many years, we did 0, we put in 150, and I don't think the curve ever caught up, which I'm sure you can agree with. And again, you got the freeze thaw. We were 70 degrees, this week we're at 5 degrees.
Yeah.
You had a melt, you had rain. Get ready. I said it last week or 2 weeks ago, stuff is going to start breaking.
What about,
No doubt about it.
could you explain all these other technologies short of repaving? Isn't there like a micro something and micro resurfacing? What is that?
Basically, you're putting a very thin layer. A company came out, I think it's proprietary also. Other engineers talked about it. I've never used it, I've never done it, I don't know if there's a benefit to it. I know we tried it at the Riverside Co-op, and I think that was a 1-year in and out, they said no.
One town has tried it, Tenafly, and we have yet to hear the report back on, how it's standing up. They may have wanted to wait a certain amount of time before they came back to us, but they tried it on an experimental basis in certain streets, and we do expect them to report back. I can ask them, for a report on the next
And then
agenda.
many years ago, Oradell wanted to do reclamation, but they wanted to mill it, put it back in, and lay it right back down. I think they tried that 1 year, and they abandoned that, so I don't know.
They had that machine.
It was through the co-op, so an outside contractor used it. But again, in our area, maybe this might work, maybe in the Carolinas, it might work in the warmer southern states, but here, you're battling the elements. And then again, we got the calcium on the roads, we got the rock salt on the roads, plus the freeze thaw. They take a beating, plus the amount of traffic we have also.
We're having extreme weather, as you all noticed, over the past 5 to 7 years, thanks to the hex that was put on me when I got in the office.
That's what it was. All right.
Thanks to my predecessor. But it has been dramatic weather changes, and it's ups and big downs, and it's killing the infrastructure. It's killing the roads in this town. I mean, just not here, everywhere else.
So it sounds like you're not a fan of patching.
So you have to, there's no question
Oh,
about the
good.
patch.
Yeah.
You don't have, obviously, you're not going to have
Right, we don't
to
have-
say, okay, we're going to mill and pave every single street in Rivers, New Jersey this year. You can't.
Right.
And there's always going to be something that's going to open up somewhere. So you need both. You need to come up with a budget to do your resurfacing, and this sounds obviously like a good idea.
Yeah,
Because
for the
you need to
time
get
being.
the asphalt has to stay hot. If it's cold, it's not going to last.
And you're not a fan of the...
Reclamation?
Right.
Well, that's different.
Because it sounds- you
You're
just
only
kind of punched a hole in
reclaiming-
Oradell.
But, no, that could be a good thing, because you'd be reclaiming, you're only doing a patch, you're not
Right, whole
doing an entire
surface.
roadway. That's probably a better idea, because, again, the cost of milling this year is going to go up dramatically, because you cannot get rid of these millings. So if we could keep some of the millings, and then two things it saves. It saves time to get to the plant and get the material back.
We do about 60 ton of patch a year.
How much patch can you do in one shift? I mean, when you go to the plant and you pick up a load, how many tons is it?
It's 2 tons.
2 tons. Okay.
And you're throwing out one.
Yeah. I mean, when it's cold like this.
Well, if you only get
Even in
two...
the summer, I'm sorry.
If you only get 2 tons at a time, then why can't why don't you put into your capital the 2-ton reclaimer instead of the
Because you still
4-ton
have to
reclaimer?
You would still have to run to the plant every day. That's the problem with using man hours. You're an hour to the plant, and the line's out the door by the time you get there.
So you cut your weight in half by doing 4. You don't have to go the other day.
I eliminate a trip there, a trip back.
Okay. Good answer.
Correct. One more question. You were talking about the milling is being used when you mill a road.
15% is your max.
Yeah.
The state only allows, when you buy asphalt,
when they say you're buying virgin asphalt, the maximum amount the state allows recycled in there is 15%.
But can we use the millings 100% with the reclaimer?
You do it a patch.
Yeah, but can we use it?
Of course. You're not subject to the DOT spec on a patch.
Okay, I mean, is there any...
But you're looking at 200-300 tons of
Yeah,
material that would be ground up. You know, possibly we
No,
could
more than
use...
that, almost more than that.
Well, depending on how much money spent, but again, if you're going by 60 ton a year, like Rio pointed out, maybe 1 ton, or maybe Ed did, 1 ton lost here, 1 ton lost here, so you cut that back, so maybe you could use 2 tandems worth of material that's been ground up, possibly about 50 ton, 45.
My concern here is on the recycler. If the state is not allowing an asphalt plant to use the millings, or use only 15% of it, will eventually, in the future, will that be impugned onto us, where we can't use the millings to patch? So are we going to buy a recycler that may not be usable in 5 years?
Maybe we could talk about that on the committee report.
Yeah, to answer your question, no.
The only advice I want is, and I'm not an expert, but I went, and part of the league was I went to a road resurfacing program, and they were saying that to just put 100% of your road budget into repaving is like fighting a losing battle. That you should put a portion into repaving, a portion into patching, and a portion into sealing, so that you get an extra couple of years out. And then you, after doing that for a few years, you begin to catch up and get ahead of the curve. What do you think? I'm asking you for your
That
opinion.
is the proper way of to maintain road structure, sure. Also is crack sealing.
We don't do that, right? We don't do crack sealing.
We have in the past.
Did Fifth Avenue not too long ago.
You did?
Yeah.
We've done Continental, we've done Vulgar. Again, all these things have been eliminated in the budget over the past years.
And again, it's a simple equation. If the water gets into the pavement, which it does, again, if there's no curbs, it gets underneath. If there's cracks, the water gets in. You go from, again, 3 weeks ago, I know 1 or 2 days I was in short sleeves. The next week, you're ready for the Arctic and you get on a dog sled to get from your house to Borough Hall. This movement, it just tears it apart. And again, some of our roads, Bogan has an extreme amount of traffic lately. Again, I don't know why. I don't know why people, maybe they figured it out. Continental. Howland is relatively new. But these roads are not built for that type of traffic load. They're not.
Like I said, they're all cut-throughs. I mean, Continental and Howland, it's unbelieving to me as why they're not county roads, because they go from one town to another, you know, and they do handle the traffic from county roads, from county road to county road.
Right.
And Boulder and Fifth certainly are major cut-throughs.
But a county road spec is 8 inches of gravel, basically, dense graded aggregate, 6 inches of stabilized base, and 2 inches of a wearing surface. The majority of our streets, if you mill 2 inches or 2.5 inches, we're into stone. You're into basically the stone, the gravel. So they're just not strong enough to handle the loads.
Okay.
Is there anything on the infrastructure list that John would need to comment on? You're looking at, it starts with Voorhees, head walls on Valley, Elm catch basins, cleaning the fill out of the ditch at Wayne. We talked about road resurfacing. We have the list of streets. Continental bump outs, Robert talked about last time. We have Fifth Avenue engineering, Howland Avenue engineering, if we get those grants.
Rob came up with a new ADA program estimate, which he could talk a little bit about. And then we have the Grove Street parking and just some more money for storm and sewer improvements, which we think we'll need because of the weather. So if there's anything there, John, that you feel you need to impart to the mayor and council, just please jump in anywhere. Otherwise, I don't know if you want Rob to talk a little bit about the ADA sidewalk program at the county.
Yeah.
Kennecott Road.
Well, yeah, this is a reimbursement from the county. We actually, yesterday, the mayor, Councilwoman Ellen, Councilman Ed was there, and this came up very briefly to do this, and then obviously the county is going to come in after it's done to resurface Kennecott Road. So at this point, I would recommend to the council, let's do it, let's get started, put it into the budget, and again, it's 100% reimbursement for all costs. That's what I was told yesterday, that's what I was told in the past, Alan, and I know the agreement doesn't specifically say that, so I'm not sure if we have to get our attorney involved to make absolutely sure that is the case, but that was what was told to us.
I'm not leaving, I just need to stand.
Yeah, he's got to stretch.
The road repaving, though, obviously we're behind, as you know, because 3 years of appropriations of $150,000. In years past, I know Alan created a list of amounts. I think it went up to as high as $350,000 a few years. I believe there should be a five-year plan etched in stone, because what's happening, I see, is there's been a large change in the council. There's been big swoops of changes of people coming in and coming out. That way there's something that's in stone, a plan to go by, and that way coming in, it's not reinventing the wheel every 2 years.
I think like Fifth Avenue is really the best illustration of how far down our road maintenance has gone. I mean, I'm getting complaints all the time. You're getting complaints all the time.
Fifth has to be a major decision to be made. I know we just got a grant for $150,000. That might be able to cover 2 blocks of Fifth. Of Allen Avenue was 7 phases, I believe. If we're going to do Fifth Avenue with phases, we'll all be in boxes by then.
I want to be in the hot box. I'll be in the hot box.
Yeah, we're going to reclaim it.
Reclaim us for the roads. I'll fill a good amount of potholes, I know that.
I remember right, I thought I saw a document that said all of Fifth would cost $3,777,000 if we were to do the whole thing. I couldn't imagine that. I'm pretty sure that I saw that in one of our weekly correspondence or something. So that's the amount of money we're talking about to do the whole thing. We simply don't have that. So your solution is that we go bump from 150 to 200K a year. Is that what you're suggesting? Is that going to get us closer to catching up or not?
200,000 is probably you're pushing the problem out another 5 years. If you did 400,000 or 500,000, you're going to shrink it down. 3 years, if you did 3 years of 500,000.
Yeah.
So you're saying that if we could find a way, which I don't think we will, but if we could find a way, 500,000 would be the optimum number.
I would think so.
I think the swings
Bob,
have
do you
been so
agree with
much.
that?
Yeah, because I think what's going to happen, and again, hopefully I'm wrong, but if your milling costs go up, it used to be about $1.75, it went to 2, it's up to 3. If it goes to 4, your milling cost has gone up 25%. So even if you add a little bit to this, and again, on the backside, which is another equation, the only thing you have to keep in mind, once you go over 1,000 ton, then you're subject to that contract that can get adjusted for any asphalt fluctuation in price. So you have to keep that in mind. So a lot of this could be a moving target once you get over that number. But again, I don't see asphalt coming down this year by any stretch of the imagination. And I think that the costs are going to go up. So if you leave 150, you're going to be doing less than you did last year.
Right, you got to pump it up.
John just wants to have us on, like, just an even, amounts that we're constantly...
Usually, it should be a 10-year it was always a 10-year plan, where you would pave a road every 10 years. And that would be your life cycle. And again, some of the streets would have to be done sooner than that, because obviously traffic impacts, a dead-end street, a cul-de-sac street, doesn't have the wear and tear, maybe it doesn't need it. But you should take all of the roads, which we have the report done many years ago, and try to put that in a 10-year cycle, and then budget back what it costs. And if that 10 years is $5 million, that's $500,000 a year. No, it's there. We have it, it's there. But that's what it is.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that from the practical side and from the side of view of taking care of the infrastructure. But what we have in reality, even if we put together a plan, is the ability of each new council every year to restrike it and do whatever they want with it. And we now have policies limiting the amount of debt that we can raise in our budget and a cap on the debt. So all of that has to come into the mix and be taken into consideration. But I can certainly appreciate from the two of you asking that this be made a high priority.
I think as time goes on, this group is going to hear it more and more. Like you said, Fifth Avenue. You're going to hear it more and more. If the town starts deteriorating to a point, the residents will be on it. There's no question. There's no doubt about it.
But we can do unconventional things. We can do a gutter mill on parts of Fifth and just pave these 2 blocks.
We've done that.
We could do a center mill on this piece just to get rid of that 100-foot stretches is bad. So you don't have to go from end to end.
Right.
We can, pick and choose the worst parts and fix those tomorrow if we want to.
Right. But at some point, because we've done it in the past, that's all we did was a gutter mill. So what does that mean? Now your center line gets built up 2 inches, 2 inches.
But those are the choices we have to make in the absence of having the money to do it.
With cross slopes, instead of having a 2% cross slope, or even with the county, sometimes they'll let you do a 3% cross slope. Now you have cross slopes that are too steep. If you back out of your driveway, possibly somebody bottoms out. If someone falls, if someone gets hurt, if a car skids over. Well, why was the cross slope 4%? Why was it 5%? So that's another thing you have to weigh. And again, in the past, we've done it. So
It increases our liability, you're saying?
There's no question.
I just think the bottom line is not to let it go, like to slash the budget so much that we are down to like rock bottom, and then we have such huge problems to repair because we didn't, maintain it when it was just like half bad. We let it go so bad, now it's like a huge problem. So I think that's your point, like have a...
And that's how we'll end up with having $5 million in capital account every year, if we keep doing that. We can't sustain that in the
Well,
budget.
$150,000 is just...
I know, but we're looking at $5.3 million right now, and we're...
That's just such a...
But have you heard anybody say we don't have anything on this list yet?
Well, we haven't had that conversation.
I know,
I
but
mean,
still.
I'm actually marking up things I don't think
But
we need.
that's what I'm... But, it's a big difference.
It is. No, we're not going to go for 5. We're not. But...
No, but I said, but everybody comes up, everybody has a legitimate reason for their items. They all have a rationale. So, I mean, yeah, in a perfect world, we'd be able to fix everything, but...
I think it's just to keep it on the forefront that, road maintenance should be like kind of every year. You can't slash it down to 0 and then, bring it back up again, and it's
Correct.
like the pendulum is swinging. That's all.
All right, what else? What else on infrastructure?
No, I agree. I'm going to say yes to everything.
Are there any questions from the council or the citizens on any of these items listed under infrastructure?
Grove Street parking. What does that get us, Mr. Costa?
I guess, what?
That was my number, though. That was my guesstimate number as to the next phase.
Right, Alan puts that in there for the next phase if you want to...
Well, I was thinking an expansion of what we're thinking about right now over the old DPW foundations. So to me, this 100,000 would be excavation of the foundations, building a resurfacing lot over it, and possibly you might need some drainage to prevent runoff going down to some of those residential properties there, which means you might also need curb work to direct the flow back out into the street. So, I mean, I'm not an engineer or a lawyer, but that's my guess as to what you could, start thinking about as the next phase to try and expand these 10, 14 spots that we're trying to get into place at this point in time. And what you need to at least have it available to you during the year is put $5,000 into the budget. Put the down payment in, you do the bond ordinance, and then you make a decision whether you're going to go ahead and actually do this. There's no downside if you don't end up doing it, except to increase your capital $5,000 this year.
All right.
A quick question on the Grove Street. Have you gotten direct feedback from people saying that if you build this, we'll park there? Or do you know for a fact these things?
Yes, we've had a few council meetings where the business owners along Kinder-Camac appeared and begged us to give them some relief. One of the homeowners that appeared has a jewelry fabrication?
Jewelry casting business.
I think he has 18 employees, and he indicated that he would purchase as many permits as we had available to put his employees back there so that they wouldn't use up the Kinder-Camac Road level parking.
There's been some scuffles up there with the 4 spots, and there was one alleged incident of vandalism when someone threw paint or something, or did something to the tires of a car sitting there.
We want to, I think the phase that we're working on now is, 14 or 15 spaces. If we sell permits for all those spaces and there's still a demand, then we can go forward with this second phase to tear up the concrete pads that we have and to put some surface on that, and then to create some more parking so that we could, to go slow and to go in phases, and only do it if there's a continued demand for parking.
Mr. Mayor, the permit cost, has there been a cost analysis on what that would give you over a long-term period or a period of time?
No, we have a permit fee that we charge borough-wide for parking spaces. I don't think we could have a graduated fee schedule.
No,
what is the fee for? What is the fee for?
Sorry, I can't remember.
But the fee wasn't meant to recap the cost of doing it.
No.
You mean for like
That's
the
really
parking by the train station?
Yeah.
How much that is? It's not that much, 150,
150
a year.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just keep me in mind when you're building lots. It's, I have 14, that's another lot to restrike, it's another lot to maintain, it's another lot to plow, it's another lot to salt. So just keep me in mind.
All right.
Rob, last time you were before us, you had floated the idea of narrowing Continental in front of the park to connect the two sides of the street. Could you just talk a little bit more about that?
Again, just to, the mayor of, I guess it was Montclair, that came to the planning board a while ago, talked about complete streets. Prior to that, Alan and myself went to a seminar at the county, complete streets.
Yeah, it was there too.
Was it? Oh, you were there. Well, they talked about pedestrians and bicycles, and everybody could share the road. Again, my thought, it's up to the council, maybe the biggest bang for the buck, we could try to, because Continental, it seems like people are, there's a lot more traffic, you have the park, it's separated by Continental. If we could narrow the road where the park is, and try to almost join the two sides of the park together, try to quell the traffic, I think that would be maybe a great area to start this, to see whether or not it works, and I think it's the biggest bang for the buck. Obviously, the park is used heavily during the summer months, and maybe you can kill two birds with one stone, where it quells the traffic, and now the park actually gets closer together on both sides, so there's a little more. And at that point, maybe you need a little more path on that side, and then now you have one continuous loop around possibly. I know John doesn't want to hear this, but I thought it maybe change the surface of the roadway, come in with possibly environmental pavers. He'll tell me he's going to rip them up when he plows, but I'll fight with him on that when we get there.
Rob's going to maintain it.
I'll maintain it.
He's going to put a bocce court right in the
Oh,
middle.
you know what we could do? I just said to him, I said, maybe we can run tubing and we'll put some solar panels on there, and he doesn't have to plow that section.
I think it's a worthwhile endeavor for the borough to pursue in that spot.
It's in our capital budget for now. It hasn't been taken out yet.
I'm just saying.
I have to go get my scissors out of my
I'm just
truck.
saying.
I have to start cutting sooner or later.
But John, Rob, we can look at alternatives too, like an island, or maybe try and do some
You can do
painted, or just as a trial, so you don't have to spend $200,000 up front to see if it's going to work, like the county's talking about doing on Kinderkamak now.
They're talking about paint. You know what? I just did Market Street in Saddlebrook, and I begged them, give me landscape islands. And I know you guys hate landscape islands, and over the course of time, it's a savings. Aesthetically, it's a big bang for the buck. Drainage-wise, it's a big bang for the buck. And cost-wise, over time, you don't have to mill it, you don't have to grant it, you have to maintain it with mulch and whatnot in these areas. And that's what I think you should do in some of these areas, to just slow things down and make it look better. I know everybody is so against it, but...
I'm not against it.
It works.
I'm thinking so far
Rain
ahead.
gardens, I mean, the whole...
I know
it's a
exactly
whole
how
push.
the beautification committee is going to
Well, they would,
plant it. It's going to look beautiful.
But again...
I have to speak up and say our biggest cost is labor. We are a labor-intensive industry. So as John says, every time you add an area to maintain, even though we have great volunteers, and a lot of volunteers do things in this town, a lot of the burden does fall back onto the borough. Without going into any detail, please remember, we are labor-intensive, and we have not been able to expand our labor capability for at least half a dozen years
But
now.
again, I'm not saying it's a one-for-one, but you don't have to mill it, you don't have to pave it, you don't have to pothole fix it. Over the long haul, it's drainage that comes back to you, because again, you're not going to replace all the pipes in the community. The county isn't going to replace the pipes, and the pipes are undersized throughout the entire county. As the storms get more intense, which they are, the infrastructure that's built here, because it was, a good majority was built in the 30s and 40s, cannot handle what's going on today with the development that took place in all of those years now. So that's what I'm saying, and that's why...
I put it on the record, I'm not going to debate it here.
No, I know.
John and I,
That's why Rutgers
have
came
our
out to try to
information.
look
We've
at
said
other
it.
alternatives.
It's on the record.
Another question, Mayor?
Yes.
Something else. Can we come to some definitive conclusion what we're doing with the DPW roof? Does it need to be fixed? Does it not to be fixed? It's always in here. We put money, we take money, we have consultants, we don't... What do we need to do over there so we either get that addressed or take it off the list permanently?
I thought we talked about it pretty much in great detail. I mean, we have some new faces. What's been done over the years, we just did last year, we got that gutter working on the top where the dog house is. We never knew where that pipe went, so I dug up the whole back of the Public Works garage, and I found the old pipe, and I repiped it out to an area which is good. So, and I reran a new pipe inside the building also connecting to the gutter. So now with that working, I'm getting less water pouring into the building. There is a couple other spots that I still have water coming in, but I've always said this is the least of priorities with other priorities. So the library roof is a big...
That we know, but it's on our list, and there's no money attached to it, and I'm just wondering if, do we have any money anywhere else from other budgets, Alan, or?
Yeah, we have one or two ordinances, I think, that have some funding available. Whether it's enough to do whatever is planned, that's a question. So I didn't know where we stood. I put it on here for discussion again as to whether it's a priority this year or we go one more year.
We made good progress, though, on the roof.
Well, then...
With doing just some repairs around, again, the dog houses, tarring up areas and so forth.
Could, Alan, you find out how much money then we do have on that?
Yeah, sure.
I do want to say one thing. I've been getting a lot of compliments about the DPW and the snow removal. I forwarded them to you and to Alan just to make sure. I'm just reading here. I'd like to, a few things that people have said just now. The River Edge DPW has done a fine job during every snowstorm. I've been to other towns during these storms, and now the streets have been as clear as those in River Edge. Kudos to them and their hard work, and a big thank you for making our streets safe. Another person says, I agree with you, our DPW has been doing their best snow removal job compared to other towns. I realized that since 9 years ago. So,
Well, like I say, when I started out, it starts here. It starts with having material, budget, money for material and equipment. And certainly, the most important key is having a good group of guys that are very dedicated.
well, thank you. The town thanks you, and I hope that they got forwarded and you tell them.
All right, anything else?
Oh, I have one thing. Madison Arms Apartment, is half of that Madison Street? It's half River Edge and half Hackensack, that street?
Yes,
It is.
yes.
So the Madison, because Sandy took a picture of that, and half is clear and half is not clear. He showed you that picture?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
So that street we take care of, and that's a River Edge street.
Yes.
Because Caridi right now is telling me that that's totally Hackensack.
Hackensack.
He said that's a Hackensack street.
Washington Street, by Denalo's.
Yeah.
The cut-through. To get from Johnson to Maine.
It's a Hackensack Street.
It's on the other side of the Coles Brook, it's Hackensack.
No,
Hackensack.
there is a section over
Is that-
there. We
is
were
that,
just over there with
River
the
Edge
fire
and that's
department the other
Hackensack?
day for,
And that's Madison Arms Apartment over there?
This is Hackensack, this should be Hackensack.
That whole thing's Hackensack.
You know what, don't quote me on that, I'm not sure. You know what, we could always,
Everything south of Coles Brook.
we do have a section over there that is River Edge.
Yeah.
By that,
Yeah, but
the old
it's on-
marketplace.
Yeah, but that's on the other side of Coles
I think
Brook.
everything on the south
Not
side of the
Madison
brook
Street.
is Hackensack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Right? Because Denalo's, I've never been there, but they...
It's on the north side of the
The
brook.
Hackensack, which is on the opposite side of the brook.
Yeah, yeah.
What place
What?
is that? Can you spell it, please?
What side of the brook is Denalo's on?
The north
On the north
side.
side, but their sewage is pumped across the
Well,
bridge.
because we don't have sewage
We don't
over
have
there.
sewage in that area. We don't have sewage.
That's why we do a deal with Hackensack.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up. Thank you.
Well, I guess we gotta keep the plows, we're not gonna pick the plows up when we go around the corner. Why do we plow that half of the street?
It's a turnaround.
Yeah.
We go underneath the bridge, we move through there, make a left, and we come back around.
Maybe we should send a bill to, Hackensack.
Unlike some towns, when they get to our border, they raise the plow.
Yeah,
Don't
maybe
mention which ones.
Maybe
You know, we always
they'll,
want to share service with them.
they'll charge us more for the sewer over there, too. That's both ways.
All right, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
I'd like to talk about this calendar. If not, Mayor, then we could talk about it at our work session on Monday.
We'll talk about it on Monday.
Okay, that's fine.
I am telling Girl Scout cookies and I'm not... They're all healthy,
Yeah.
Or how you define healthy.
They're also much smaller than they used to be, that's why.
healthier. Water in here? Yeah.